Hey, welcome back to Joey's HR Lounge, where we talk about the intersection of people, performance, and the future of work. Today, I'm joined by Stephanie Manzelli, a leader known for thinking deeply about employer brand, people strategy, and how HR actually earns influence in the business. Stephanie is a chief people officer at Employ, and she's built a reputation for challenging surface level HR conversations and pushing leaders to connect brand, culture, and business outcomes. Also, fun fact, Stephanie is a fellow 2025 top 100 HR tech voices. I'm also on that list as well. So it's always good to meet with folks who are in rarefied air, such as yourself. So, Stephanie, thanks for joining us.
Thank you so much for having me. That introduction was wonderful.
Hey, I do conferences, I do fireside chats, I do panel moderation. So
Love it.
let's go. Let's go. So, one thing I like to ask our guests is their hot take. And so, this is not a gotcha, but I'd
Okay.
love to hear from you. What's one HR belief that you think sounds good on LinkedIn, but falls apart in real life?
Oh gosh. Falls apart in real life. Oh goodness. I think one HR gotcha. I think um this is thought provoking. An HR gotcha.
That's what we
Well,
do.
I know. Well, you did. Yeah. Here's what I would say. I would say I don't surround myself in environments that I don't think are practical HR application. I think the things that I see online and the influencers that I follow and the way that I lead my organization is rooted in reality of how do we navigate the organization and try and uphold all of the values of a people function. So I don't know that there are too many gotchas out there that I think are unrealistic. You know, yeah, I don't really think there are.
No, and I love that advice of keeping things practical because in
Yeah.
a ever-changing world that we live in, not just from an HR standpoint, but just the world of technology, uh, people need clarity, not just vision on what they should do, but the next steps that it takes to get there. And so I love the fact that you mentioned, hey, if I'm consuming something, if I'm sharing something with my team, it's got to be practical. It's got to have next best steps, and it's got to be grounded in our work environment and what are the things that we can do, not a couple months from now, but today.
Yeah,
So I love that. I love that. I love that.
100%.
Yeah. So let's catch people up with who you are and your story. How'd you find the field of HR, and what keeps you in it?
A total accident. I found it by accident. I don't think I've ever met, you might, maybe this is your story. I don't think I've ever met an HR person who like grew up thinking, I really want to lead an HR function one day. Um, I was in finance. I did M&A and I thought that's what I wanted to do forever. Very early on, I thought, I could see that post-acquisition integration process was where a lot of hearts and minds were won and lost, and companies would lose momentum. And I thought, well, who can solve that? It's HR. I thought maybe HR can solve it. But at the time, I knew nothing about HR. And so I spent about 2 years temping every major company in Boston, all entirely administrative roles. I mean, recruiting coordinators, benefit admins, workforce analysts, just very, very entry level roles. And I think I share that experience because I actually use it every day. I learned that every company does one thing really, really well, but no company does everything perfectly. And it was through that I figured the area of HR that I wanted to go into, which was sort of HR strategy. And it's a bit of a non-traditional background to become a CHRO, having HR transformation as your background, but that's sort of been my career and the place that I've really loved.
Yeah. Well, let's talk about that because you're right. It's very rare that an HR professional shows up to career day in high school and you're like, "That's me. I see that as my future." And of course, folks like us, we're passionate about what we do now, but that's not necessarily what we set out to do. I know I didn't set out to do that as well. In our prior chat, I mentioned I was going to be a sports medicine doctor. Um, how did those early stages of the administrative functions that you learned along the way, you mentioned those still impact you
Every day.
What are some practical realities of that? How do you see that playing out?
It's so funny because we just did a kickoff meeting with my team this morning for a 2026 kickoff for the year and our goals and all of those things. And and I brought this up. You know, HR in some areas interacts with employees at really pivotal life moments, right? So, like, I want us to really start to think about just what an impact we have on people. Somebody's changing jobs. Maybe they've been unemployed for a while. Maybe this is their lifeline, right? Like maybe this job is the job that they're desperately trying to get. It's their career goal. You're onboarding somebody. It's not just changing jobs, Joey. It's upending your life. I mean, things as simple as your auto pays might need to change in your bank account because, you get paid on a different pay week than your former company, or your commute just becomes an hour longer, or, there's just so many things about your life that change your benefits. Maybe there's a medical issue that you're experiencing. And so the interaction points that an HR team has with an employee can be wonderful and they can be really challenging. And so what I brought to my team today was I want us to think about our job as that important, right? Like I want us to think about if we can make one thing easier for one person in their whole life, that is our goal, right? And so I think about that when I think about customer obsession. I think about wanting my team to be customer obsessed, and my customers are my candidates and they're my employees. And then they're my happy leavers when they're leaving an organization. And so I use the principles of really a lot of those administrative jobs to set my standard of excellence for my team.
No, that's great. I love that. I love that. It begs us to remind each other that we are people serving people.
That's right. We're
We
whole
are
humans.
We're whole humans. If we don't bring our full selves to work, we at least take our full selves home after work. And so being mindful of all of the micro interactions that impact a person and their ability to show up every day is huge.
Yeah.
I live by a mantra of I want to create a world where people are more excited about Monday than they are about Friday.
Yes.
And I want people to love their jobs. And that doesn't happen if we're not thinking about how does a changing pay cycle disrupt their personal cash flow? What are some of the tools, maybe on-demand pay or next-day pay, that we may need to employ
Yes.
to give people that personal financial wellness and more control of their pay?
Yes.
What are the benefits? What is the talent acquisition strategy for people who may need to relocate to a new location? Understanding that the touch points are not just about the job, but it's about the people
Yeah.
who make the business.
Yeah.
So I love that you're laser focused on that and you share that with your team.
Oh, for sure, for sure. And I want to balance that with saying, like, listen, I know we can't advise on some things, and I don't ever suggest we do, but making the connection points so that people can seek out their own answers is also equally important. We've had situations where we've relocated people, from Europe to the United States. And sure, I cannot help them with their taxes, but I sure as heck can give them a list of tax companies that they can reach out to get more information for their personal situation.
Yeah. No, I love that. You mentioned having a finance background,
Yeah.
and most HR professionals will tell you, I am not a numbers person.
Oh, yeah.
How has your finance background helped your career? And if you were at a conference table with young professionals in the space, what would you impress upon them regarding the importance of financial acumen as an HR leader?
I love that I didn't know these questions beforehand. This is so great. So here's what I'd say. I use it every day. It's actually I talk and speak differently depending on the audience that I'm with. When I'm with my ELT peers, when I'm with the business and I'm business facing, I am speaking in their terms, not in HR. I think it lands better, number one, but it helps me accomplish whatever goal I'm trying to accomplish. And I have even translated HR metrics into business metrics. So, we talk about LTV. Well, I talk about ELTV, and we talk about CAC. The same thing of CAC is cost to hire, right? So, like, I have translated many of my metrics into, financially facing metrics just so that folks can understand the land better. And I don't just talk about time to fill. I talk about reduced ramp time and impact to revenue potential. And so I would say that's been helpful because it's helped my leaders understand the impact of an HR function differently. It's also helped my team understand how their work impacts everything, including EBITDA, right? So, and I think that that needle has been really hard to thread for a number of years. And so if I was talking to young professionals, I would say know your data. But bigger than that, I would say know your business's data. That I would say is the competitive advantage. If we were to wipe everything aside, I would say when I onboard into an organization, the first thing I want to know is I want to know the metrics. I want to know the metrics across the business. Because I was in an analyst space and probably most closest to FP&A, I would say to you, I want to know what pipeline coverage looks like and what does your pipeline coverage need to look like in order to hit your metrics and your goals. I'm going to tell you, I want to know what customer health scores look like. I want to know what a C-stat looks like. I want to get into the data because as an HR professional, I can't advise you and I can't build a people strategy that aligns with a business strategy unless I actually understand the business. And so that's my advice to young professionals. Know the business that you are in. Don't be afraid to ask questions. People are happy to talk about what that metric means and how the business is performing against it.
Great. We're talking with Stephanie Manzelli, Chief People Officer at Employ. Let's talk about Employ a little bit. For those who are not aware, Employ shows up in the talent acquisition space as a provider of services. So could you share more about the work that you do from an organizational standpoint and maybe what draws you to stay aligned with the mission that Employ exists to serve?
Yeah. So Employee is a suite of hiring technologies and AI companions that layer with those. And so, we serve many different sectors of the market from SMB all the way to enterprise. And I would say that the thing that makes me so passionate about this space is that we are reducing the friction in the hiring process for recruiters, for hiring managers, and for candidates. And I think the thing that I am most proud of is we are the only ATS organization, an HR technology organization that has has a partnership with bias detection, so that it's always on bias monitoring, which in this day and age is something that HR folks do need to be focused on and spending time on versus once a year audits. So I would say that that's probably what I'm most passionate about.
Very, very cool. Very, very cool. Well, I would love to just maybe talk a little bit about the future of HR and where you see it going. As you think about your work and your chat with your team, what are some of the new challenges that you see yourself addressing, or maybe some peers that you see yourselves addressing that you'd want to share with the audience today?
I would say two things. I would say as you continue to grow your career in HR, I think your AI literacy is incredibly important. This is an opportunity for us to be very strategic. This is an opportunity for us to take a leadership role in rolling out new tools and technology and enabling our teams with tools and technology and helping set success criteria for leveraging these tools. Not just guardrails, not just policy, but really thinking about how do we find and optimize efficiency? How do we take a look at workflows and say, this is a great inflection point for us to consider adding this, or is the juice worth the squeeze? It's a really great time to be in HR for that reason. But in addition to that, it makes our jobs easier, right? There are tools out there now, especially those prompting tools that can help us pull together things at a faster pace than maybe before. And so I would say that. But I would say the future of HR in the near term, right? Because as we look at the next 12 to 18 months, our roles in the space of change management and minimizing that time spent in the change curve, that is probably one of our most important skills, I think. Organizations are rapidly changing, whether it's the economic environment that we're in, whether it's just the technology landscape shift, maybe it's about available talent in places like the healthcare sector and the trades working sector. Our ability to react to all of those things, support our employees through that, and navigate them through change with minimal thrash it's going to be the strongest skill that we can bring to the table in the next 12 to 18 months.
Well, Stephanie, I know when I'm talking to someone who is a wealth of knowledge and someone worth following and listening to, and you are one of those people. So, where can people connect with you to hear more of your voice, maybe learn more about Employ, and just maybe stay in touch or connect?
Yeah, well, for sure, employinc.com. By all means, reach out to us there. I know any member of my team is more than happy to chat with folks and teach them more about our products. And if you'd want to connect with me, I'm on LinkedIn, just linkedin.com/Steph Manzelli.
Awesome. Well, thanks for joining us on Joey's HR Lounge. Truly a pleasure. I know this was real, unedited. You didn't have questions in advance, but I appreciate your willingness to go with the flow, and can't wait for our audience to hear this and get in touch with you. So, thanks
Thank
for
you so
joining.
much.